Hello there folks, and welcome to my studio. My name is Matthew Palmer. Welcome to the YouTube channel and welcome to another episode of the Watercolour Show. Perfect timing. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, folks. I'd love you to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell as well, because that does mean a lot. The notification bell will basically alert you of any up and coming demonstrations, tutorials, projects, whatever they turn out to be. But yes, we are live. We are broadcasting this episode of the Watercolour Show live. It's episode 4. If you've missed the previous episodes of the Watercolour Show, please do head on down to the description below this video, and you will see all of the links to view episodes 1, 2 and 3. The first episode was an English sort of country landscape. The second episode was a winter scene of Central Park in New York. And the third episode was flowers, foxgloves in watercolour. Today, we're going to paint a seascape. We're going to do a seascape in watercolours. It's all live. Now, what is the Watercolour Show? Well, I'm sure you've seen my channel before. You've seen me paint on the channel before. And I'm sure you've seen me do demos and tutorials. Well, the Watercolour Show is a bit more, there's a little bit more to it. Down the middle, down the spine of this show is a ongoing watercolour demonstration. Now, it is a demonstration. It's not really a paint along, it's a demo. It's me painting at my own little speed, and that's going to run through the show. Okay, but then we're going to throw in some watercolour hints and tips. We're going to throw in some of your questions, viewers' questions that you guys have submitted, which is wonderful, and thank you for those. And also, we're going to look at some of the latest watercolour products on the market, from paints, brushes to paint. So lots of nice interactive content here on the Watercolour Show. Lots of you are viewing this live. Thank you for taking part. Hello to Carol, Brian, Julie, Sharon, Darcy. Thank you, Darcy, again for taking time out to monitor the live chat. Now, a few shout outs before we start painting, folks, because this is live. We've got Super Chat turned on. Now, what is Super Chat? It's a way of basically donating. It's the lifeboat fund for this show. It's a way to donate to the channel, and it's a way to you know, keep the lights on, keep the cameras flowing, keep the paint flowing, because as I'm sure you know, YouTube, we do these things for free, voluntary if you like, and I've spent about 5 or 6 hours setting this show up today, so I hope you enjoy it. But thank you for the donations already. We've had a couple of donations already. First of all, a big thank you to Andrew Murr, who was straight in off the bat. Thank you, Andrew. And Andrew has donated a £2 super chat. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Sadie Thompson has also sent a super chat through as well. So thank you for the £5 donation from you, Sadie. Big shout out to you and Andrew Murr and Andy. Nice little emoji saying, how's it going? It's good. Been a busy day getting all this ready for you guys. I'm looking forward to this one, looking forward to the show. So a thank you to Andy for another £5 super chat donation. And Sandy Hatton has just also donated a $4.99 super chat donation. Every penny goes back into the channel. It pays for the cameras, it pays for the lights, it pays for the paint. It keeps this channel going. And again, if you're new to my channel, please do hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on a smart TV, then how do you subscribe? How do you access the chat? Well, if you press on your remote control, and I'm saying this because a few people have asked this question, you press the up arrow on your controller if you're watching it on a smart telly, and it puts a few little icons, okay? And the last icon is 3 little dots, I believe. If you navigate on the up, down, left, right arrows to that, press OK, you can then access all of this, what we're talking about. Super chat, you can access subscribe, because that's the main thing. That's the main thing what I'm after, you guys to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. It means a lot. More super chats. Thank you to Mary Kelly. Big shout out to you, Mary Kelly, for a €4.99 donation. Thank you, Mary Kelly. Means a lot. And Andrea Prince has just donated £2.49, and she's also popped a little emoji, £2.49 from Andrea Prince. Thank you so much for the super chats. So, the Watercolour Show. Here we are in the studio. Let's talk about the demo. So it's going to be a Moonlit Seascape. It's going to be a Moonlit Seascape in watercolours. And without further ado, let's crack on with today's watercolour demo. Now what we have here, folks, is a sheet of watercolour paper. This watercolour paper is my own personal brand of watercolour paper. It's a really nice paper. It's cotton. It's a cotton paper. I've stuck it to a wooden board, okay? And basically, it's just a piece of wood and just a masking tape like this, basically, just a normal everyday sort of masking tape. It's stuck to a board, and it's quarter imperial. That's the size I'm working on, so it's about 11 by 15 inch in size. I've done a sketch. I've sketched it in. Let me show you a close-up of the sketch. This is the sketch. So I've basically sketched it a horizontal line, which is roughly a third of the way up, because if you're doing a seascape, you need a third of the way up. And I've popped in some cliffs and some buildings on the right of the picture, and I've popped in some foreground. It's going to be a bit of a pebbly beach maybe, or something like that. So that's all ready to go. It's all sketched in. So if you're watching this back and you're going to have a go at the painting, remember I am going to kind of fly through this thing pretty quickly. So just bear in mind, it is a demonstration. It's not a watercolour workshop. If you want to do a workshop with me, then I do those pretty much every weekend. And check out the link in the description to paint along live with Mr. Palmer from the comfort of your own home. Yes. There's the sketch. There's the sketch. The paper. A question's come through about the paper. So the paper is £140 in weight, 300 gram. That's the weight of the paper. Stuck to a board, ready for action. Can't go wrong, okay? And literally it is just stuck to a board. I mean, you can see the pencil, what I'm using, for those people that are interested in the pencil, is a 2B. So this is a 2B pencil, for those people that know what I'm talking about, okay? So let's get stuck in. A couple of shout outs for Super Chat. £4.49 from Ray Russo. Thank you, Ray. Ray's a continued supporter. Thank you so much for that, Ray. It does mean a lot. Thank you so much for the Super Chat. Roger Cleaver has popped a £4 donation in via Super Chat, and so has Rosemary Baldock. So Ray Russo, shout out to you. Roger Cleaver and Rosemary Baldock as well, £2 donation. Thank you so much. Every penny helps. Let's get stuck in. Let's take a look at the palette. Palette's here, all ready for action. Squirted my colours into the palette. Got my brushes here. We'll talk about materials as we go through the painting, because as I sit here now live on a beautiful dark evening in Derbyshire in the UK, I don't quite know exactly what colours I'm going to use, but what I've got is my own range of paints. You can see them here. They've got the little sort of Matthew Palmer logo on there and everything. So all the products are available online at watercolour.tv, but they're all here. They're all squirted in the palette, and we'll talk about them as we go through, okay? But there's 14 colours altogether, but we will pop those to one side. I've squirted them from the tube into these areas, and then we'll pick those up as we go through. So my first job with the demo is to basically wet the paper. Now I'm going to be using quite a big brush here, to be fair, and I want to achieve some kind of contrast. So the contrast is going to be from some masking tape, long enough to go across the picture, wipe the moisture from the brow, and what we're going to do basically is we're going to pop this masking tape along this horizon. That's important for this one, because I want to keep a dark moonlit sky next to a light-ish sea. So I'll put that masking tape on that's stuck down. That'll give me an edge to work to. I've then got a pretty big brush. It's actually a size 20 brush I'm using here. It's a round watercolour brush made from a sable, which is a natural hair mixed with synthetic. And I'm wetting the paper right down over the top of the buildings. Wetting to wet, this is the technique that we're using for this. I'm stopping loosely where the tape is, so I don't want too much water down there, just a hint of water, just a little bit of water there, but plenty of water coming through, plenty of water coming through. So a nice coverage of water, 2 or 3 coats of water, and then we can go for the moonlit sky, okay? So it wants to be dramatic, it wants to have atmosphere to it. We always start off with the lightest colours first, always an important thing to say. So if we get to the palette, let's go for some light colours first. And it really varies. I mean, I think I'm going to go for some kind of a orange. This particular one is natural orange. I mean, all these can be created with primary colours, pretty much anyway. And I want to bring that in. I want to use this brush and sweep in some orange for the base of the sky and get some big, bold brush strokes. Notice how the paint is slightly spreading, not massively, slightly spreading, which is quite nice. So a little bit of a spread, so it's kind of crossing the brush around. That's natural orange. Then let's go for some violet. Violet is always going to be good for the evening skies, so this one is natural violet. Beautiful. Don't be afraid to be quite strong with the violet. It looks like a blue kind of violet we're using here. Sweep it in. Again, all the colours are available on my website, which is basically watercolor.tv. So a sweep in, all the links in the description as well. So if you want to get hold of anything, if you like anything we're using, it's not a shopping channel here, but I'm just saying if you like anything, then do please check them out. Right, there it is. Notice I'm starting to come down towards the tape. So already we're getting not quite a night time, but an evening, and I've gone down to the tape. Beautiful sky. Gorgeous brush. This is a size 20 round brush, okay? Lovely brush for doing big, you know, sort of powerful kind of skies. Clean the brush in between washes. I've got a piece of kitchen paper for dabbing off. I'll pop that just to one side. Grey next is quite important, as you can probably imagine, for a night time. So we've got some grey. This one is natural grey, which is a lovely soft transparent shadow grey. Really important for this kind of thing, because using a colour that contains black pigment like bone black, which is the most common black pigment out there, it's just too dark really. So I'm using natural grey, which is a little bit softer. It's a little bit lighter. Now just bear in mind there's quite a lot of water on this page, so what's going to happen is it's going to catch the spotlights. The studio lights are going to reflect in this until it's dry. Now I keep making the colour a little bit thicker at this point. Now I shall put the moon in later. We'll get to the moon later, so do bear with us. So I'm just making sure things are nice and dark here. So a good bit of drama coming through. There it is. Love that already. So already we've got drama, we've got that nice kind of clarity, that richness. Nice and strong for that sky, folks. The paper is still workable. Like I say, I'm not adding the moon just yet. We'll get to that moon a little bit later on in the picture. Stick with us. It's all part of the fun. Really dark in this corner, because that I imagine is where the moon will be, up here somewhere maybe. So the darker up there the better, to be fair. It's also worth just thinking that you could actually add a few little twists around. So I'm sort of, I'll try and get it so the light doesn't, that's better. So a few little twists are quite nice on these skies. I'm sort of wiggling the brush a little bit. I'm sort of wriggling it across from side to side there. So that's going to help things as well, which is really nice. Again, this is just using natural grey. It's a colour that I've designed for shadows, but you can mix a grey like this from primary colours, red, yellow and blue, and you can get a nice transparent grey. So a little bit of drama, but not a huge amount. That's looking good. I'm just going to tap off the excess on some kitchen paper because I want to bring a little bit of cloud down here as well, just a touch. Just a little slither of little clouds, twisty cloud. Now, if you've got any questions that you'd like to be answered, painting questions, obviously, in a future episode of the Watercolour Show, then pop them in the comments below. Beautiful. So we've got a bit of drama. Now it's quite clear to see that the actual light is reflecting while the paper's a bit damp. But if we tilt it forward, you can sort of see where we're going with this, can't you? It's really quite nice to spend a little bit of time using a good bit of grey, nice strong bit of grey, and basically adding clouds. Now people have a bit of a fear of something called cauliflowers, which is basically when you've popped a little bit too much water against your sky once it's almost dry. But here I'm using thick paint and good paper, so it doesn't really matter. It works. Happy with that. I'm happy with that sky, folks. What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to clean my brush out. Now I've got a couple of water pots here. I'm cleaning the brush and I'm leaning away because I'm squeezing the brush flat. Can you see that brush has gone like a flat sort of vibe to it? It's damp, it's moist. Is it me or is it moist? It's damp basically. And what I want to do is I want to use this brush just ever so gently feather away any hard lines that I'm not too convinced about. But as I stand, I'm pretty happy with that sky. Pretty happy with the way the sky's gone. There's a good starting point. Now, when that dries, it will change massively. So while that's having a few moments to dry, let's move on to a different section that you'd normally say if I'm doing a normal day-to-day watercolour demo. I just paint the picture, I use the dryers, etc. But here is the Watercolour Show, a little bit different. So let's move on actually to viewers' questions, or what I like to call Watercolour SOS. Now, I've been teaching watercolours since 1998, so quite a while. It's 2021 at the minute. And one very common question that comes up is how much paint to put in your palette. And this question came from Andrew Mayer, and Andrew Mayer also dropped in a super chat donation, so thank you for this. So Andrew basically asked the question, he said, how much paint do you put from your tube in your palette because you're always running out? Now, this palette here that I've got is probably 3-4 years old, and pretty much every time I start painting, I pop a little squirt in here. But I mean, some of this paint in here is probably 2 or 3 years old. But here's the thing, watercolour never goes off. It never dries, it never permanently goes off. This is a good tip. Just pop a little bit in every time you start painting, or just before you're about to start painting, to make use of the paint what you've already got rather than wasting it. Okay, get yourself a small brush and a little bit of hot water. Now I've got a little bit of hot water just hanging around here in a Halloween cup, and basically what you do is you take a little bit of hot water and you just kind of spot it over the colour and leave it there for 10-15 minutes. And what that'll do, Andrew, is that'll reactivate that colour. So you're not wasting the paint, but like I said, watercolour never goes off. It never ever goes off. It's always there. It's always active. So just a bit of hot water or even a bit of boiling water, obviously being very careful, does work quite well. Okay, how much paint goes in your palette? Like I say, for me, I just pop a little squirt of each colour in, and I top up as and when needed, but you'll never waste it. You'll never waste it by putting too much in, because it never goes off, which is wonderful. Now, on the subject of hot water, let's answer this question that's come in from Tricia Jenkins. And Tricia Jenkins has sent an email through, and the question was, she's got some brushes that have seen better days. How do you put a bit of life into them? Okay, well, let's take a look at these two brushes here. They've kind of seen better days. Let me show you them. So these are quite nice brushes. These are a size 2 brush, sable, and a size 4. Now if you look at the larger one of the two, can you see how the bristle has got a little bit sort of, it's been kind of squashed up against some kind of a palette or something? It's a bit rough. And this one looks like it's designed for painting around corners, because it's probably been left in a water pot, or it's probably been sort of pushed up against some kind of a water jar, or it's been left in a box and the box has been sort of done that with a brush. So how do you rejuvenate these brushes? Well, you can, and a good tip is literally to get some boiling water, being careful, or very hot water. Again, I've got some in a trick or treat cup here, and basically what I'm going to do with this is, I mean, this water's cooled down a bit now because I've been talking for sort of 20 minutes. So I'm just going to rinse it. I'm going to rinse that brush. And instantly, just get your fingers through it, and instantly that brush now looks as though it's back to normal. Because hot water, the hotter the better, somehow just brings a bit of life back into the brushes. This one here, the one that was bent, you can see now it's looking a lot more. I don't know if we can get the camera on that one. It does bring them back in again. Now, there you go. I'll be honest, this water is not as hot as it should be. It was boiling when I first started the show, but you know, I've been talking for 20 minutes. But yeah, boiling water does wonders for your brushes. It does, honestly. It just kind of brings it, and a quick dunking normally fixes them. That's how you fix your dodgy brushes. I'll pop those back up there for another day. Few more questions coming through on the live chat, and again, if you want a big shout out, do pop in a super chat donation, folks. And I'm being cheeky, but it does keep the paint flowing. Talking about super chat donations, Irene Style has sent a wonderful emoji saying good job. Thanks, Irene, for the super chat. £5 donation from you. You're a star. Everyone that donates to the channel is a legend, in my opinion. I'm just going to pop that to dry for a little bit on the heater there. There it is. Couple more questions that have come through on viewers' questions. Because we're live, let's take advantage. Sue is asking, do you cover up your paint palettes with a damp cloth or anything? No, not at all. That's a big mistake, because it makes the paint too runny, in my opinion. I just leave it there, and like I say, bit of hot water, couple of drops of water, just add life into it. If you leave a damp cloth over the top of the palette, the paint will be really runny. Okay, but like I say, watercolour never goes off. You can come back to that palette in 2 or 3 years time, and you can still make use of that paint that's in there. Another quick question that's come through was about mixing the orange. So yes, the orange that we've just used in the sky orange is pretty straightforward. So you can use a bright yellow, like natural yellow light, and you can pop it with a little bit of red. Preferably a crimson red. So here I've got natural yellow light and a natural red, or you could use cadmium yellow, and you could use alizarin crimson, and that will give you not the same colour as natural orange, but you know, not a million miles away. Email come through, Matthew, how do you book on? Right, okay, so let's have a little chat. So since lockdown came, I'm trying to think of the name then. Since lockdown came, 2020, I started teaching virtually virtual painting workshops. These have gone crazy. Worldwide, people love these virtual workshops. So if you've always fancied having a go at a virtual workshop where basically you sit at home, I'm teaching you from here or my other studio, and I'm really taking it steady, giving you the colour mixes, really nice holding your hand step-by-step process. There's pretty much one every weekend. Head on over to this website here, watercolour.tv, click on the workshop tab, which is at the top of the website, and you'll see the next one. As I'm stood here live on the, I'm checking my watch, on the 2nd of November 2021, the next one is the 7th of November 2021, and we're painting a harvest mouse in a poppy and wheat field. So I love the little mouse crawling up a wheat sheaf with poppies in the background. Of course, that's quite relevant because we're coming up to the Remembrance weekend as well. So it's a £10 workshop. You don't see, sorry, I don't see you, but you see me, if that makes sense. And that's how it works. It's quite a cool thing, actually. So do check it out. It's £10. Here's the thing, you can watch it live or you can watch it at any time. And while that painting's drying off, let's take a look at a little advertisement. It's only on for a minute or so, folks. Do stick with me. I'll be back with the painting in about 90 seconds time. This will tell you all about the virtual live workshops. Check this out. So there you go, folks. That's just a little bit of an insight to how these workshops work. Basically, it's £10 fee. You can watch it live or at any time afterwards. Once you purchase a workshop, it's yours to keep forever. So you don't have to be there at 10 AM UK time Sunday. You can watch it live. Very steady process. Lots of you in the chat take part in them. Thank you for your support. And there's pretty much one every weekend. Link in the description below to see the latest one that's coming up at the time of you watching this video. So just head down and you'll see a link to click on and away you go. Now let's get back to today's watercolour demo. That's giving that a perfect time to dry, and just look how it's changed. It's changed nice and steady. I've left it to dry. Okay, a few shout outs before we move on. A big shout out to Kristen Bora. I apologise if I've got that name wrong, Christian, but your €5 donation is very, very kind. Thank you. Big shout out to you, Christian. And Angela Guest has also donated £5 with a little emoji saying, can't quite see what it says, to be fair. It's tiny. But anyway, big shout out to you, Angela Guest. Thank you for the £5 super chat donation. Ellen Reed as well. Elaine Reed. Maybe I need glasses. Elaine Reed. Thank you so much for the £2 donation as well. Very generous of all of you. Christian, Angela and Elaine Reed and Irene Style and everyone that's donated so far. Thank you. If you want a big shout out, just drop it in the super chat. So yeah, this is dry and it doesn't go lighter, but what does change is the water's gone from it, so it's no longer shiny. Look how we've got these nice highlights. That was me squeezing the brush that created that. We'll come back to the sky a little bit later on. Now let's get a bit close in because we're going to paint in some distance here. And for this, I will be using the grey again. So let's get this size 6 brush. Jennifer's saying I forgot how to gift. It's basically at the bottom of the live chat. If you're watching on a phone, you can swipe across. Is it from the right or the left? And it will bring up all the options on the chat. So there's a little $sign at the bottom of your screen. Natural grey. There it is. Beautiful. Let's paint in some distant cliffs. Distant cliffs using a bit of grey. Pale grey. Moonlit night. Yes, we shall put the moon on. We shall. Let's paint in some distance here. It'll grow on you. Stick with us. Stick with us. It's like watching paint dry. I know what. Do stick with us. Let's go through here and up there. So basically I've put this grey line on. Now inside that I want to bring in a little bit of green. Now I've got my own green blend. These natural greens, as they're called, are designed to replicate nature. A little bit of green, not a huge amount, is going to creep in and mix just a little hint of, and then quickly come back to the grey. So basically I'm working a couple of colours into this, and then we'll use a bit of water just to blend in that area. So basically it's creating some depth, some distance, and we'll come back to that once it's had a few moments to do its thing. And we'll add a bit of character to it once it's had a bit of time to dry. I've got a plastic card here, just like a credit card, hotel room key card or something, and I want to scrape off a little bit of light, not a huge amount, just a little touch. You won't really see much happen, but this will just give a bit of texture to it. You won't see much happen here because the colour's quite pale, but a little bit is quite nice. It just gives a bit of interest to the picture. Makes it look more like cliffs. And then if I go a little bit stronger with the grey, just a little bit darker. Now if you want to mix your own version of this grey, you're mixing up your primary colours, your red, your yellow and your blue. Try and avoid using neutral tint Payne's grey and lamp black because it's a little bit too dark in my opinion. So just kind of watch out for that. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a bit of darkness. Now if you're thinking, it's talking about workshops, it's talking about, I can't paint along at this speed. Well, this is a demonstration. This is not a workshop. A workshop is very much me holding your hand, folks, and giving you time to work. Okay, 100% of time is added to the workshops. It's not a demo. It's not you sat watching with a coffee. It's very much, or something else maybe. You might have some other beverage and stuff. But that's quite effective there. That little bit of edge. And then what we'll do here, we'll very carefully, slowly and carefully. Now then, sir, you take it careful. Slowly and carefully. Let's take the tape away. If you want to play it safe, use a hairdryer. Look at that. It's like peeling a bit of skin off the back of your heel. Oh, yes. The satisfaction. You can't put a price on it. You can't put a price. Look at that. Beautiful. Love the colours. Love the orange. It just works so nice. Clean edge. Clean edge. Beautiful. 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 Let's put a wash now then. Gina. Thank you for the £5 super chat. Gina Lowings. You're a legend. Thank you, Gina. Big shout out to you. Let's have a look at the water and let's put the water on. So, love that already. Jennifer, you've worked it out. Well done, Jennifer. Big shout out to you, Jennifer, for the £5 donation. I hope I'm not putting you off your work. You said you're working. Okay, hope we don't put you off. Just enjoy. It's a bit of relaxation. It's a bit of escapism watching a bit of paint dry. It is. Yeah. Thank you for the £5 super chat anyway. You're a legend. Okay, let's do something with the sea. Back to the big brush again. In the water. Beautiful. Bit of Derbyshire water. And we're going to wet the water, because let's face it, when it comes to water, the wetter the better. You can't beat a bit of wet water, can you? It always amazes me doing live streams how much of an atmosphere there is with the live chat and the questions. It's great. Thank you for tuning in, folks. Do stick around for the end, because we've got some product reviews coming, some new products to show you. Really cool. And we've also got some Matthew's hints and tips as well as doing the demo. What more could you want on a Tuesday evening? Or maybe it's a morning, wherever you are in the world, who knows. But anyway, I've wet the water, because you can't beat it. Beautiful bit of water. There you go. Now let's put some colours in. I mentioned I've got my own colours. There's one particular colour called Natural Turquoise, which I'm going to be using. It's designed for the sea. It's a seascape colour. So Natural Turquoise is going to feature in this, as well as some other colours. Love that sky. Beautiful bit of sky. Let's just bring in some of that turquoise there. Not a huge amount, because it is meant to be a nighttime scene, but just a little bit where it comes close to the foreground there. We'll also go for some of the grey, which actually I've already got from the sky. It's just here. You'll notice the colours separate a little bit. Just add a bit of water. We're going to get the moon on. Yes, we're going to put the light on the water from the moon when we put the moon on. And we're doing the moon a little bit different today, so stick with us. So we have grey, horizontal lines for the water, leaving a thin line. Just leave a thin line across the back. You'll see where we're going with this. You'll see where we're going with this. Let's clean the brush out. Just use a damp brush now, just to spread that up to the edge, because I want to maintain that light against dark feel. And obviously we've got this distant sort of cliff area, and using the green colour, you don't really get reflections in the sea, but a little bit is quite nice. So just a little hint of reflection would actually be quite nice, just to drop in. Just to drop a little hint of reflection. Not much, but I'm sure you can see that little bit of green just kind of creeping in. End of the day, it's the sea. It's busy. It doesn't really reflect. But on a painting, a little bit of reflection does actually go quite a long way. And at the same time, I'll add a little bit of reflection below these cliffs, which we've not painted yet, but of course we will do. We shall do. So again, I'm just going to do that in grey for the minute. Pop that in grey. Notice all the time I am doing horizontal lines. Now, if you're not sure I'm popping these, take a look at the sketch. You can see it's just below those buildings on the right side. That's where I'm popping these lines. Those horizontal lines. Now, I shall be bringing some other colours into that cliff area, including some of these dark skin tones. There's two skin tones, there's dark and light skin tone. Mediterranean colours, beautiful, beautiful colours for obviously skin tones and shadows, but also really nice for cliffs and rocks and terracotta areas. Nice for terracotta roofs, actually. So I've just added a bit of dark skin tone just in that area there, because that's quite nice. It just kind of, it will reflect later. You've got to stick with me here, folks. Slightly bigger brush. I've picked up a size 10 brush, and I now want to go darker with the grey in this corner. Horizontal lines. Now all this is going to change when it dries, and we'll keep building up. Notice I'm keeping a bit of light in the middle. The reason for that is because I want to reflect the moon later on. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Perfect. Can't go wrong with this, tell you. Nice bit of darkness. Little horizontal lines. Love that. So that like sort of silvery sea, we've got a light piece. That's given me a good area for painting in the moon when we get to that. So that's how we're looking so far. Let's put something in this bottom corner because I feel a bit of beach coming on maybe. Let's get to the palette. Dark skin tone, really nice for that. Nice beach colour. We've also got natural yellow. Now this is a sandy colour. Now you might have yellow ochre, you might have raw sienna. Not the same but similar colours. So we'll take the yellow first. We'll come to this corner. Horizontal. We've got the skin tone as well. So a little bit of a dark area in the foreground for a bit of a beach or some kind of land. But I mean, look at those colours, really nice. Now just take notice how quick I'm painting these in. Now the reason for that is because them little dry flicks at the end really make it look as though the sea or the water goes underneath the land. So that to me is quite an important thing to try and capture. Horizontal lines. Pop a bit of grey in there as well. In the corner. But all the time, as I mentioned, keeping those lines nice and horizontal. That's being the secret to this. So a bit of a sort of sandy foreground there. A little bit of a sandy foreground coming through. Nice. Love that sky. But you can almost imagine, can't you? You can almost imagine this water gently lapping up against the beach there. We've all seen it. Yes, I'll put some waves in. We'll get to that. Love that. Now, maybe it's a pebbly beach or, you know, a rocky beach or something like that. How would you get that effect? Well, what we can do here is we can zoom in nice and close to this. And we can use that plastic card again. And we can actually use the corner of the card to do some little pebbles. Let's get closer in. Get closer in. Little flicks of your corner of the card. I mean, you can use your fingernails for this, to be honest. But little sort of rocky areas, pebbles, shingle, chicken pox. Can't go wrong, can you? Love that. Isn't that nice? That little bit of foreground detail. Because the paint's quite thick and it's just about starting to dry, it's got that lovely effect. I mean, you can also see the nice reflections coming through there as well now. So when I set out to do this picture, I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had no idea the colours. I'd just sit down with a bit of paper and just enjoy the process. And it's nice that you've joined me while I'm doing this. Brilliant. I love that little bit of pebbly corner. A pebbly corner. Look at that. Loving that, folks. Really coming together nice there. Let's have a few shout outs. We've got some wonderful donations coming through here. Lynn Howe, big shout out to Lynn. Lynn takes part in the virtual workshops on a weekend. Thank you, Lynn, for your support on those. Lynn has just donated £4.49 for the eternal struggle, keeping the paint flowing. That's what this is all about. Thank you for the super chat donation. Carol Eyre has donated £1.79. Thank you, Carol. Big shout out to Carol and Lynn. Natalie Trudgill, £5 super chat donation. Thank you so much. You're a star. Appreciate that. really do. And Paul Mason, hello Paul, not seen you for a while. Hope you're still keeping the paint flowing and you're keeping well. Thank you, Paul, for the big £5 donation. That's very kind and also very generous. So thanks to Paul Mason, Natalie Trudgill, Carol Lynn Howe and Jennifer and everybody else that's donated so far. Now, another question has come through. I'm still trying to build up the confidence in painting, and one of my problems is getting the mix of paint and the water and the right consistency. Now, any tips? You might think this is a bit of shameless promotion. Get yourself, Anne, I'm talking to you, Anne, right down the camera, get yourself booked into a virtual painting workshop, because you'll see in detail, and I'll talk how many times to wipe the brush on the side, how many times to dab it on the tissue. I'll talk about the water, I'll talk about the consistency. It's not like this today is a demo, it's a quick process. Those are very much steady process. Link in the description, or get yourself onto the website, click on the workshop tab and you can book a space for a tenner. You will produce a painting with just 3 primary colours, red, yellow and blue. That's all you need, and 3 brushes. That's all you need. Nothing fancy is required. This is looking good. I'm happy with this. These paints, albeit dry, are still usable. The painting is taking a nice bit of shape. It needs a little bit of time to dry, which means I'm popping this near the heater. I could use a hairdryer, but it makes a noise. And while that's drying off, let's take a look at Matthew's hints and tips. Yes, it's the favourite time. The hints and tips. I always enjoy hints and tips. Now, I've got a painting here. Just going to reach over for it. I've got a painting here of the Australian Blue Mountains with the beams coming through the trees. You can see it there. Let's show it on this cam, the top cam. You can see it. There it is. We've got the beams coming through. This is a painting of the Blue Mountains. A footpath at the base of the Blue Mountains, and these beams, early morning beams. Lots of people have asked how to do this, and how to do this technique. How do you get that beam effect? I mean, you can see it's a lovely picture. It really is nice. Well, I want to show you. I want to show you how to do that now, folks. All right. What you need is one of these magic erasers. One of these. You've seen them. You've seen them in supermarkets. They're for cleaning cookers. It's a very dense sponge. You can buy a proper painting one called the Watercolor Eraser. You want one of these, or any kind of natural sponge, basically. And I tend to just like rip a piece off. I mean, they don't last forever. Just a little piece like that. Just a tiny little bit like that. Just rip the corner off. It'll last you a long time. And then you do the beams right at the end. The last thing you do is you put your beams on. Now, this also might be relevant if you was painting a lighthouse or something like that as well. You take 2 bits of card and you pop them where you want your beams to be. Think of the perspective, think of the width. Look how they get wider. So this was the last thing I did before I painted this big rock face here. So that's what we're talking about. You basically get yourself some dry kitchen paper and you wash it away. Have a practice. If you've never done it before, just have a little practice at it. It does work really quite nice. So I'm just going to turn this that way. Actually, it'll be easier with being right-handed. There we go. So imagine there's a lighthouse here or something, and what I'll do is I'll take some water, but wring the sponge out, and basically you do that. Now I tend to go back at the end the opposite way. Bring it back in. Take your tissue and give it a wipe. Look how it gives that lovely beam effect. Now, let's just imagine that you had another one, a skinny one. The beam's coming through the clouds. Wipe it off. It's quite effective, isn't it? It works really, really well. And you can see that's exactly how we created this effect of this picture here. It's a lovely little trick, folks. Do practice it. It works really well. You can use any sponge in theory, and it does take a bit of practice, but it's a lovely little effect. Now, these sponges are quite inexpensive. They are synthetic, so just bear in mind that you can just discard them and throw them away. So think of beams coming through the clouds, think of a lighthouse, think of the shafts of light in the misty forest. It's a really nice trick to try. But of course, something like this is also good for washing out areas. So if you was painting a snow scene or something, let me take a craft knife here, back to the picture, and I'm going to use this piece of card to cut away the basic shape of some mountains. Take that off. And you can use, let's get closer in, and you can use this as a little bit of a, imagine that's a bit of a sky here. I'll pop that just on the landscape there. We can use the sponge to sponge away. And it does, these magic erasers, if you're cleaning your cookers and things, they do actually take away. And you keep going at it, keep wringing it out in the water, but it's surprising how you can get it down pretty much to the white paper. So imagine that's like the distant hills of a winter landscape. And I could go further. So that kind of comes back to what we said about the palette, you know, how watercolour never goes off. I painted that about half an hour before the show and it's still active, so there you go. So there you go. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about there. It's a lovely way to give you a chance to show you some nice techniques. That for me is going to go in the bin. It's a little bit of sponge. It's a bit of synthetic sponge, not natural at all, and just a bit of scrap paper. So yeah, magic sponge erasers, watercolour erasers, quite a nice little thing to have in your watercolour stash. Beautiful. Couple of shout outs. Pat Pepper. Pat, you've donated £4 for the struggle, the painting struggle. Thank you, Pat. Very kind. Big shout out for the super chat donation for Pat Pepper. Also, Lynn Fletcher has donated £4.49. Thank you, Lynn Fletcher. Love the little fox clapping saying bravo. Nice emoji. Lynn Fletcher and Pat Pepper, both very generous super chat donations. Now let's get back to today's demo. Here we go. Nice and dry. Nice and dry. So if you didn't, let's say that you made a mistake and you didn't quite get that clean horizon line, put a bit of tape on, use the sponge, starts to do its thing, yeah? Starts to work quite nice actually. Let's get close into the cliffs, into this area here. So working on the cliff area at this particular stage, what I want to do here is use more masking tape, little bits of masking tape. I'll stick it on in a few places. Notice what I'm doing with this. I'm sticking it to my hand a few times because I don't want to rip the page when I take it off. Stick it to your hand, pop it across, relatively horizontal. Notice I've stepped it down, see the little steps, I've made it lower, I've stepped it lower as it drops down. Size 10 brush would be great for this. Let's pop the tape over there. And my little corner stash. Yeah, so using quite strong colours. First of all, the grey. I mean, and you can see that the grey is quite useful. It's a very useful colour, is natural grey. It's not really grey. It's like a sort of bluey black, really, but it's just so useful. Bit of a tap on kitchen paper was also used there as well. I'm going to bring this in quite strong. This colour. It's going to go up from this edge towards those buildings. Now remember that we're going for a night time, so I shall put the moon on. So you keep saying, that's all I'm waiting for. Bring that in. Bit of grey. 50 Shades of Grey. Eh? Now, moving on. We'll pop some dark skin tone in. That's the light skin tone, dark skin tone. Nice for cliffs, nice for rocks. We used it in the beach, remember, as well. It's like a nice rusty tone. It mixes nice and goes even darker when you mix it with the grey. Beautiful, beautiful. Bring this up here, dark skin tone. I'm literally throwing this paint at the paper, not literally. Could do that. Might could be the show next time. And it's quite heavy paint as well. I'm not worried that it's heavy. It wants to be quite heavy. Work across. Can't go wrong. I shall drop some green in there now as well. So that's the light green. You remember the green that we used? Natural green light. It's all going to mix on the paper, so I'm not worried about that it's quite bright because I'm scribbling it. Look, I'm scrubbing it. I'm scrubbing it over the top of all this. Giving it a good old-fashioned scribble. If I mix that green with the grey, it goes a nice dark green. And I can start to do little bits of trees and bushes here as well, at the back of those little buildings. I'll pop the buildings on later, of course. So I'm sort of twisting the brush here. Little one up there as well, just a little tiny little bits of bushes, and I'm just basically going into all these, twisting away. Let's add a bit of grey to this just to make the paint flow into the cliffs. There we go. Even pop a little bit of that dark skin in there. So just got a few little sort of bushes and everything. Now that's pretty dry. There's an area that's quite solid, it's quite dry. So I want to reactivate it by simply cleaning the brush, tapping it on some kitchen paper a few times, and then I want to go in and I want to dampen it all down. Because I want the paint to be active. Again, comes back to what we said from the question, the paint doesn't really go off. So you can reactivate it even in a week's time, 3 weeks time, 4 weeks, whatever. You can just go back in and without any energy, just a damp brush is all that's required. You can quite easily reactivate the colour. And why am I reactivating the colour? Because again, I'm using this hotel key card that strangely appeared in my bag to scrape away some cliffs. Look at that. Gives you goosebumps every time. Every time. Oh, it's good. I like it. I like it. Beautiful. Look how the skin tone remains. Look how the grey remains. Look how little bits of green, because I'm gently wiping. Now, if this was too dry, it wouldn't work. Which is when you reactivate it, of course. Look at that, even popping in some little flicks for branches. Ooh! Over here as well. Now that's getting a bit dry over there. Isn't that good? Hey, let's have a little look from a distance. Paul Mason says he's not actually painted this year. Got a few workshops, but not got around to doing them. You know what, Paul? that's the great thing about them. You can just do them at any time. They're yours to keep. Sometimes if you get out of the habit of painting, you sometimes need a kickstart, and maybe this possibly might be the day for you to be kickstarted into painting again. It does happen. We all have them moments where we don't, feel like necessarily painting. So I've got some grey here. But the Sunday painting workshops have become like a weekly art class, virtual art class that people attend and people enjoy, and it's like something to look forward to. Now, we did miss last weekend, Halloween weekend 2021, because I was away with the family, and lots of people were saying we're missing the painting. Well, we're back this weekend, the 7th, folks. There's a link in the description on how to book. We're painting a field mouse in a beautiful field with wheat sheaves and poppies, which is perfect for the Remembrance, of course, weekend, which is coming up very soon. So I'm popping a little bit of grey in here into these trees and across the base of the rocks as well. You see, I'm sort of popping a bit of grey on, spotting around the tops of these trees. So I'm basically adding a little bit of shadow, for want of a better word, and that's kind of what all I'm doing here with grey, bringing it in, making sure things are nice and dark. And then what we'll do is we'll take the masking tape away. Let's come back a little bit so you can see it more in context of the scene. It's going to be nice to put those houses on to give a bit of scale. But I've run grey in there, you can see. I mean, it's still a bit wet because the lights, there's kind of 4 studio lights here, and they're hitting the fresh paint, which happens when it dries, it all kind of settles down. But do stick with us, folks. Stick with us, because there's more to come. We're going to look at some new products as well. Now let's, nice and steady, take the tape away. Now if you get a bit of seepage down there, you can make your rocks a bit lower. So we'll take the tape away, slowly and carefully. Beautiful. Isn't that good, hey? So coming back a little bit with the camera, you can see the distance we've got already. We've got the distance. We'll save that for another day. We have distance, and using the grey to make sure things are nice and dark across this base. And also we can put some reflections in. Some little horizontal lines below the cliffs, and it gives reflections. Now I could, because it's watercolour, it's transparent, so easily I can add some other colours in there, maybe some green possibly, and some more of that rusty skin tone that we've got. Let's take some of the green actually. Don't want much, but just a little hint of green, just to say it's just, you see, it's just picking up that little hint of green. Love that. Really nice, really effective, folks. Nice way to just add a bit of interest. I love that. Let's look back at the picture and see how it's shaping up. It's coming together quite nice, isn't it? We've got that nice dark sky. I'm going to put the moon on, so you keep saying. And basically I want to pop some reflections in. Sorry, some ripples. So I've just got grey here. I've just got grey. That's all. I want to get some movement in the water now. Let's get that down here, and we can get a little bit of swell to the water. Size 10 brush, yeah. So we can start to pop a little bit of up and down brush strokes coming in at this particular point. So little bits of ups and downs, little mountains, little peaks is what I'm adding here, folks. In that foreground, working up towards the beach. Making use of this nice brush, this pointy size 10 brush. Just a little hint coming across. And as you get further back, these little peaks would get more horizontal. Still using the grey. I'll start to be a bit freer with the way I put the paint on. Even over those background areas. Again, still conscious that I'm keeping this light area in the middle. And it, you know, I can be as free as I like at doing this. Ups and downs. Nice. I want to go a little bit darker in the foreground as well. Around the beach area, love the colours. The greens, like the moon's illuminating. Just going to darken the edge of the beach a little bit here, folks. Just a touch, and you'll see why later when we bring some white paint into play. Just a little bit of added darkness. Just to get that impression as though you can see the water slightly swelling, can't you? Just very subtle, but it's there. Look how pointy that brush is. Again, if that point was a little bit kinked over, again, you know, how to fix your brushes. Boiling water, being careful. Quick dunk in really hot or boiling water is a good fix for reactivating your paint in your palette and also adding an extra bit of life. I mean, if you warm the brush away, it's obviously not going to fix it, but you know, you get that, don't you? You get that. Nice, happy with that. Bit of skin tone. Light's going to come into this. What we're going to do next, folks, we'll leave that for the minute. We'll get close in to these buildings here, and we're going to be using a size 6 brush and that sandy colour, which was natural yellow. We used that earlier on in the beach. There it is. We're going to pop these buildings, or the starting point of the buildings. We'll pop them all in the same colour, but we shall be going darker a little bit later. Leave a few spaces for windows. Brill. Now I'm going to grab some of the dark skin, which is hanging around here. Diluted it though. Not too strong. Pop a little hint of that in. Make it look a little bit darker in places. Shadows will come on this, by the way. I'm just going to use a bit of water there just to connect it all together. So loosening the paint, softening it all in. There we are. And then what we'll do here is we'll take some bright yellow. This one is natural yellow light, or you might have cadmium yellow. Don't want much of that, just a little bit. Just pop in a bit of yellow. Just say there's a bit of Home by the Sea. Genesis, eh? Bit of Home by the Sea by Genesis. If you've got your smart speaker there waiting for me to call out to it, I want to do it now. Are you ready? Alexa, play Home by the Sea by Genesis. Got some shadow colour here. Natural grey, that is. Did your smart speaker wake up? Maybe. Let's bring in these shadows. A little bit of a window. Beautiful. Works really well, it gives that nice bit of interest. Get the shadow coming down here. Now if you notice, when I paint shadows, I don't paint the whole area. Just do a little bit. I clean my brush, I wipe it on the tissue. And you can see it starts to blend in a little bit. A little chimney there. Look at that, eh? You can see the darkness coming through. Now I should also be going darker underneath here as well. Down this corner. So I've gone darker under the edge of the roof there. I'm just going to pop in a little hint of windows later. We'll get to those a wee bit later. Nice. Just picked up some of the green there. Just going to put some little spots on the tops of the green areas. Nice. So just spotting and dotting. Well, I'll put the roofs on in a sec as well. It's quite effective when you start to put the build. Let's just come back a bit with a zoom there. Look, we've got that. It's almost got a bit of a creepy thing, but then again, it was Halloween yesterday, so maybe that's fresh in the mind. Who knows? Got pumpkins there. That was a workshop a couple of weeks ago. Okay, we've got the light skin tone, which is a nice terracotta colour. But I'm just mixing a bit of grey with it because I don't want it to be too strong, don't want it to be too colourful. Let's pop the roofs on, shall we? So being quite subtle on how we do those. Come down the edge. Little terracotta chimney pots are always nice. Perfect. That's just giving that nice bit of interest to it. Bro. More work can be added to that once it's had a little bit of time to dry. Really nice. Let's look back at the whole picture. Shaping up well. Really coming together nice. Happy with it so far. It's getting to that stage where I'm almost ready to put the final little bits of detail in. But I'm just going to do a little bit more work on the buildings because I feel that that's becoming a focal point. So I want to get close into that again. And then we'll leave that to dry and then we'll take a look at some. I've got a new product to show you. We'll get to that shortly. Exciting, eh? You can smell the fear. There it is. Back to the buildings. We've got the grey. Good bit of grey. Strong grey. Number 6 brush. I'm happy with this. And I'll tell you my reason why I'm happy with this. Because if you look at the brush nice and close up here, you can actually see it's a very point. Look at that. It's a very pointy brush. It's quite a new brush. So it's got a nice point on it. If yours is not very pointy, then it's worth investing in a new one at some point. Let's add a little bit of detail work to this, just a touch. Bringing in some shadows in various places. Just clean the brush. softening. Is anybody actually painting along live? Let me know in the comments. I'll pop in some windows. Some with lights on, some without. Clean brush, just lightly feather them away. A little bit of detail just to help things sit. I love the trees, how they all kind of nestle around, you know, that sort of massive tree kind of feel. It's quite effective, really. While I've got grey on the brush, I'm going to be quite dark down here as well. At the base of these cliffs a little bit, look, just adding a bit of shadow to them. Can't go wrong, really. Little spots on the top. So I'm basically using the tip of the brush and spotting in some bushes and trees. Which is quite nice. But all the time you've got that grey in there that becomes part. Now, those buildings are quite freely painted, but they do work. They work as a picture, which is really, really good. Let's come back down to the water in this foreground here. Come back a little bit with the camera. What we've got is the grey. And I'm just adding a few little extra ups and downs with the grey here. Which is giving a little bit of movement in the water. White paint's going to change it. Do stick around for the white paint. We can also use the brush quite dry. Use it quite dry and a bit splayed. Sort of bend your brush in your palette and don't have too much paint on it though for this. Because I always think that a nice reflection is improved by popping in some downward lines. Helps to give depth. Even, you know, in the sand, it looks like wet sand. I mean, I wouldn't really see the reflection in the buildings, if I'm honest, because, well, you know, it's like I mentioned, it's the sea, so you don't really get that, but, you know, a little hint of it is quite nice. Darken the bottom there, and you could slightly emphasize that building reflection by just adding a bit of downward drop to it and that one. But to be fair, I wouldn't do any more than that. Brilliant. Good stuff. A few bits of little spots and dots in the foreground. And the magic touch of this picture is still to come. That's putting the light in. So do stick with us for the last sort of 10-15 minutes of the show. And while that's having a little bit of time to dry and sort of do its thing. Look, looking good, isn't it, that? Looking nice. Love the sky. Like I say, we are going to put light on it, so do sort of bear that in mind. While that's having a bit of time to dry, folks, what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at a new product, a product review. But before I do that, I've got to say, Gabby Smith, thank you so much for that $50 super chat. That is a very unbelievably generous donation. Gabby takes part in the live virtual painting workshops on a weekend. Big shout out to you for that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the gifts you've sent. Thank you for the donation. That's so generous. You are a absolute legend, and I know you've got some of my original paintings in your house. I hope you enjoy them. Tiger, I want to say, maybe, and a leopard. Look, anyway, thank you so much. Let's take a look at a brand new product in today's review. Now here, folks, sitting in the background, just over here, we have some white paint. Now this is a pretty standard white paint. This one is called opaque white. Here is Matthew Palmer's white. Now this is the brand new white. This is the new white we've been working on for the past year to 18 months. We've been working on this white paint. And why have we been working on a white paint? Because I use white paint a lot in my pictures, but so many people are having problems getting a white watercolour that is opaque, that is easy to paint with, like straight from the tube, easy to paint with, but then at the same time is opaque. Because 9 times out of 10 you'll buy a white paint like this one here, the opaque white. You'll put it on, everything's good, and then when you come back to the picture in a few moments once it's dry, it's like, well, where's it gone? It disappears. Or it's too creamy, it's too yellow, it's not white enough. Well, what I have developed over the past year is a new super opaque white, and here it is. I'm going to show you for the first time, really. We've got it here, and it is designed for overpainting, which is just wonderful. It's so useful. I use it all the time with my paintings. I really do. I love white. So I want to pop a squirt here. I want to show you the difference between the two. So that one is the new white, which is a brand new 2021 product, and here is the previous white. Now they might look kind of similar. You'll probably notice a little bit of a colour difference between the two. So here we've got opaque white, and here we've got natural white. Now if we take a bit of water, take a little bit of water, and it's just so easy to paint with it. Look, just a little bit of water, you can just easily paint with it like oil paint. But because it's watercolour, it doesn't permanently dry. Even when diluted, it will still have opacity to it. Now if we compare that to the original white, and that's using it nice and thick, look how it's sort of transparent. Let me just give it a tilt. There you go. So it's lovely and thick, it's pure white. Well, I say it's pure white, it's got a very slight, very slight bit of warmth in it. And why is that little bit of warmth in it? Because it matches the paper. So how many times have you gone to use white paint, put it on, everything's good, and then it just doesn't stand forward? This white stands forward. Different pigments are in the colour. Okay, and that's what's really good about it. Now, why would you use white in a watercolour? Because white is the paper. Well, it just adds that little bit of spit and polish. In this painting of the pumpkins behind, I've used it to pop little highlights on the actual flesh of the pumpkins to make it look like three-dimensional. On this robin picture, let me show you the robin picture below here. It's used to make the tap. It puts the highlight in the eye. It puts a nice crisp edge to the snow if you didn't quite get it. It's just such a useful colour, and it even works nice for beams and things like that. Now that's had a bit of time to dry, and you can see how even diluted it still has a little bit of milkiness to it, so it's really good for purity, but it is it is so fluid. It's so fluid. And in today's demonstration, it's perfect. It's perfect in today's demo because I'm going to use that white to add just a little bit of extra. I'm going to put the moon on with it as well. I'm going to show you how to put the moon on, okay? But before we do that, I've just got to say another big thank you to Gabby, because Gabby's donated a second $50. That is unbelievable, Gabby. That is so generous. Thank you so much to Gabby Smith. That's two huge, massive shout outs to Gabby Smith. Wonderful. You're a star. And I appreciate it. It definitely is keeping the paint flowing. And again, thank you to everyone that's donated through today's show. But we're not quite finished yet, folks, because we're going to carry on with today's demonstration, and what we're going to do is use the white to put the moon, put some light in the water, and just a little bit of sparkle. Let's finish it up. Brill. Wonderful. Okay, let's put the moon on first then. So how are we going to do the moon? Well, we have the white here, which I've just squirted on in the review. I want to pop that on the palette for the minute. And what I want to do is actually take a round coin. That's an old pound coin from 1984. I weren't even born then. Actually, I was. When I was a boy. We're going to fold that in half. Pop it in there. That one. Twist it round. So we've made a stamp. I'm going to use the new white. Bit of water. Mix it in. Mix it in. Love that. Paint it on the tissue. Now, this will give us a bit of a hit and miss moon, which is good because sometimes this works great first time. If not, don't worry, because it gives you the round shape, and that's what's of importance. Okay, so I want to put the moon about here somewhere. Press it on. Line it up with my light in my water. Probably about there. Just press it on and let go. Oh, beautiful. And then what we'll do is we'll take the brush and we'll tidy up the edge. We have a good shape to work to. It works really well, and because it's watercolor, you can really play around, and you can use, I love that, isn't that good? You can use the water that's on the brush to loosen it and get some lighter areas where needed. I'm basically just spending a little bit of time manipulating the white. Let's get closer in, actually. We'll see it better if closer in. There we go. Better. So I can basically just spend a bit of time tweaking it with a damp brush, moving the paint around. Which is nice. That was good. Let's come back on it. Let's take a look at it back from a distance. That's lovely, that. And then what we'll do as well is we'll also use the white, and we'll paint the white on. Put the white just there. We'll paint the white on a card. We'll paint it on the edge of a card. It's a lovely pure white, this. Now, why are we doing that? Because it'll give a little bit of light to the water and a bit of rolling wave effect. So we're going to take this card. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a roll. So, you know, almost pure paint here. and you can just sort of tap it, and it just gives a little bit of light in your water. It's really nice to work with, actually. Over here, below the rocks, we can do some... Oh, it's so nice to have this white, because it's a fluid white, which means it's dead easy to pick up on your brush. But what's really nice about it is it's opaque at the same time. Even diluted, it still stands up, which is really good. So I'm popping a bit of a surface on the water by doing this. And again, you can just ever so slightly sort of tap it on the water's edge here as well, and that'll give us a nice effect with the water lapping close up. You can sort of go onto the beach a little bit with it. It's really quite good, actually. Nice bit of spit and polish. Nice bit of spit and polish. It's wonderful. Can't beat a bit of spit and polish on your pictures, can you? Look how the white just, it sort of transforms it, don't it, really? I'm also going to use, obviously, some of the white in the water for the reflection from the moon as well, because that is a lovely crisp white moon coming down here. We're going to pop some white in the water. So I've actually diluted the white a little bit now, so it's not 100% opaque, just nicely translucent, so it gives it just enough of an effect. Of that little bit of light coming down. If I want to go thicker, of course, I can get more white from the tube. I love that moon. I'm sure I had to put some highlights in your clouds as well in a second. Nearly there, folks. Nearly there. Now, just remember, this is all done live, so there's no actual editing involved here. So I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and do let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Watercolour Show. Is it something you want to see more of? Let me know in the comments if you do, or the chat. I love that, just that little bit of light coming down into the water. I'm putting a nice thick white edge on the edge of the card there. Just gently tapping it against the edge of the beach to lift your water up. Quite messy, but it's bloody good fun. Bloody good fun. Jolly good fun, sir. Ooh, love it. Can't go wrong, can you? You can't go wrong. Let's get some nice white in the middle. Really putting a lot of pressure on here, so with the card, so I'm really picking up that nice white paint, and stamping it on. It's lovely. Now, if you have had a break from painting through the summer, the winter is upon us pretty much, what it is here in the UK, that's for sure. And I will be keeping the paint flowing, so do make sure that you take the time to subscribe to the channel or book into a workshop or something like that. You can actually pick up all the previous workshops as well, and there's a choice of 79 as I'm studying live on the 2nd of November. The workshop that's taking place this Sunday, the 7th of November, is the 80th workshop. So it's going to be a belter. It's going to be a belter. It really is. I'm just popping a little bit of white just on these buildings, just to give a little bit of... I'll soften those there in a sec. It's the I smudged that with my finger. It's the Harvest Mouse. So do check that one out, folks, if you've not already booked yourself in. If you have, thank you. Very kind. So, bit of moonlit stuff going off here. A few little splashes. So this is the new natural white that we're using here, and you can see how easy it is to overpaint areas. And I'm using it at the base of the rocks here to give an illusion of splash. Love that film, Splash, about the mermaid. Cracker, innit? It's a cracker. You know what I mean? It just gives a bit of interest to your picture. You could also, and this would be nice, you could also, I'm excited for you, you could also pop a little bit, like we're in a Tipex factory. You could also, other correction fluids available. You could also, of course, pop in a little bit of light on the edge of some of the clouds here as well. Around the moon. Now, if this was gouache or acrylic or oil paint, you'd have to be so fast at blending it. But because it's watercolour, just a bit of water, and I can blend that away without any effort whatsoever. And for me, that just puts a little bit of the light catching the cloud from the moon, just puts a bit of detail in. And of course, you know, you could go crazy with that white. You could make it as thick as you like, but I'm kind of working semi-transparent with it. I don't want it to be too thick. If it's too thick, you can't dilute it too easy. So it's a nice soft white, but fluid, and I think that's the thing that people are going to like about this most, the fluidity of it, because look at that, and that just that nice little bit of highlight going in there just adds enough to say it's catching the moon, and it's just creating a nice little bit of incidental light. Look at that little bit of light, beautiful, love that. Let's have a quick shout out. We've got, you guys have been so generous today, I can't tell you. Thank you so much for taking time to watch today. Big shout out again to Gabby Smith, so generous, the two $50 donations, amazing. Alison Meeroff again. Alison has been a regular on the workshops. Thank you, Alison, for your support through the past 18 months, 2 years, booking on the workshops. You're a legend. Thank you so much. Wonderful donation there. £17.99 is very generous. You are a star. Big shout out to you, Alison. And Jessica Day, $19.99. Thank you so much to you, Jessica. Big shout out to Jessica Day again, who also takes part in the virtual workshops. And thank you so much. And a big thank you to Darcy Marshall for looking after the chat. It looks like we just needed it just in time there, so a big thank you to you. But honestly, it's been a pleasure, folks. Let's try a mount on the picture for today, because it always looks nice popping a frame on the picture. I've got a nice bevel cut mount here, which sort of hides away all of the mess, let's say. We'll pop that on there. And that has made a beautiful watercolour. I'm really pleased with that one. I love the colours, I love the light in the centre. That nice use of white paint has been great. Let's get close in and let's have a nice close-up look at the picture. We can see the detail in the buildings there, from the moon in the sky, coming back to the light in the water. It's made a nice picture. If you do want to put any more light in your water, you can actually use a craft knife as well to scrape alongside the white. But shouldn't really need it if you put the white on. The white was a pleasure to use today, it really was. And there we go. So that was episode 4 of the Watercolour Show. If you've missed the previous 3 shows, check them back. The links are in the description below. Do put your comments in the comments box below. I always try and reply to every comment Again, big thank you to all the donations that have come through via Super Chat, and do have a little think about booking in a virtual painting workshop. There's one happening this Sunday, the 7th of November, but if you're watching this at a later stage, there's pretty much one every weekend. Link is in the description. Thank you for taking time out to watch me create this Moonlit Seascape. I really enjoyed that. It was a nice bit of escapism for me, and I hope it was for you as well. And don't forget, if you've got any questions for the next show, which will be coming up in a month or so's time, do pop them in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Check out the website, check out the Facebook, Matthew Palmer Artist, and I will look forward to seeing you again for some more watercolour. And don't forget to keep that paint flowing. Take care.